everybody, welcome back to my SAT math class. Today's topic is absolute value problems. In SAT, there are three different types of absolute value problem. First one is definition of absolute value. Second one is equation with absolute value. The last one is inequalities with absolute value. Let's start from definition of absolute value. What is the definition of absolute value of x? Absolute value of x is 5. What does it mean? Absolute value of x means distance from 0 to x. So x can be 5 or x can be negative 5. Because on the number line, 0 is here. Distance from 0 to 5, this distance is 5. Distance between 0 and negative 5, also 5. So if absolute value of x is 5, x can be 5 or negative 5, because the definition of absolute value is distance from the origin, from the 0, 0. Okay? Another definition you have to know is absolute value of a minus b. Is more important than absolute value of x. Absolute value of x minus 5. What is the definition of absolute value of x minus 5? That means distance between x and 5, or between 5 and x. It's the same thing, right? So absolute value of x minus 5 is what? Distance between 2 points, x and 5. Absolute value of a minus b, that means what? Distance between a and b. So many problem about absolute value in SAT actually asking you the definition, how much you understand the definition, absolute value of x or absolute value of a minus b, which is distance between a and b. I solved just 4 problems today because to reduce the time. Many people told me my lecture too long. So I'm gonna make a shorter one. I try really. And the next part, the absolute value equation and then absolute value inequalities. After I explain all these 3 things, I'm gonna solve just 4 problem. 2 of them is about just a definition of a absolute value of a minus b. Okay, let me solve that example problem later. Let's go to the second concept, second thing in SAT about absolute value. That's the absolute value equation. Okay, let me explain that with examples. Absolute value 3x minus 2 is equal to 5. It is a very easy example, right? Easy example. That means you have to solve twice, right? 3x minus 2, that can be 5, definitely. Or 3x minus 2 can be negative 5. If you solve a first equation first, 3x equals to 7 because add 2 at both sides, and then divide by 3. Divided by 3. So x equals 7 over 3. Let me solve second equation. Add to both sides. 3x is going to be what? This part is gone. Negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3. What is x? I'm going to divide by 3 divided by 3 both sides. So negative 1 is answer, right? So usually absolute value of equation has 2 solutions. Usually, not always. In this case, you already find how to solve that problem, right? Absolute value of something is a number that inside absolute value is positive that number or negative that number, right? In this case, 3x minus 2 can be positive 5 or negative 5, and that's solve both equations to find both answers. Example 2. What about this? Absolute value of 5x plus 3 is equal to x plus 7. We can solve exactly same as the previous equation, right? Just solve twice. So 5x plus 3, that can be x plus 7. Or 5x plus 3 can be negative x plus 7. So first equation, subtract x. 5x minus x is 4x. And then subtract 3 from both sides. That is equal to 7 minus 3 is 4. So x equals 1. Let's solve the second equation. 5x plus 3. Be careful. The negative sign in front of that right side. So you always put parentheses. Okay, someone just skip the parentheses, you can make the wrong answers. Put the negative sign and then parentheses of equation, the expression, and then the distributive property by negative 1. Negative x minus negative 7. And then add x. 6x equals negative 3, negative 3. So negative 7 minus 3 is what? Negative 10. So what is x equals? Negative 10 over 6. 2 times 3. 2 times 5. Negative 5 over 3. So it has two answers like this. Usually absolute value equation have two answers, two solutions. Example 3 is about absolute value inequalities. How can you solve absolute value of 3x minus 2 is not equal to, it is less than 5. So to solve this equation, if absolute value of some expression is less than a number, that expression 3x minus 2 is always between 5 and negative 5. The number and negative of that number. And then add 2, all side, left side, middle side, and right side. And what is left? 3x left in the middle, and negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3, and then 5 plus 2 is 7, and divide by 3. To find x, right? So only x is left between negative 3 over 3 is negative 1, and 7 over 3. This is the final answer. One more time, absolute value of some expression is less than a number. And that form, that expression inside the absolute value, in this case, 3x minus 2, that should be between positive 5 and negative 5. Example 4 is about the not less than. What if absolute value of something is greater than a number? That's the next example. Example 4, absolute value 4x plus 2 is greater than or equal to 4. It is not less than, it's greater than. In that case, you solve twice. So 4x plus 2, that may be greater than or equal to 4. Okay, the distance from the origin to 4x plus 2 is greater than 4. That means that value is greater than 4, definitely. But what if negative 4? Negative 4 side. Less than negative 4, like negative 5, negative 6, those numbers as well, greater than 4. The distance is greater than 4 from the 0. So 4x minus plus 2 is less than or equal to negative 4. So solve these two inequality. First one, 4x is greater than or equal to 2 because subtract 2 both sides, right? And then divide by 4 and divide by 4. Okay, so x is greater than or equal to 1/2. Or if you solve second equation, second inequalities, subtract from both sides. 4x is less than or equal to negative 6, and then x is less than or equal to negative 6 over 4. If you simplify that, negative 3 over 2. So x is less than or equal to negative 3 over 2. How can you express your answer in the number line? There's a number line here and 0 here. Where's 1/2? 1, 2, 1/2 here. X is greater than or equal to 1/2. So your answer is what? Including that 1/2. And then right side from 1/2. Or x is less than or equal to negative 3 over 2. Negative 3 over 2 is between negative 1 and negative 2. Over here, negative 3 over 2. So answer should be less than or equal to that number. So including this number all the way left side from the negative 3 over 2. This is the answer of these inequalities. For what value of n is absolute value of n minus 1 plus 1 equal to 0? So absolute value of n minus 1 plus 1 is equal to 0. So subtract 1 from both sides. What happened? Absolute value of n minus 1, that should be negative 1. Absolute value of something can be negative number? As impossible. Absolute value makes any numbers positive or 0, right? So it is impossible. So what is the answer? There is no such value of n. D. Two different points on a number line are both 3 units from the point with the coordinate negative 4. The solution to which of the following equation gives the coordinates of both points? I told you absolute value of a minus b's definition is what? This distance between a and b. So let x is a number to satisfy this situation, but the distance between the x and negative 4, that should be equal to 3 because it says 2 different points on the number line, right? 3 units from the point at the coordinate negative 4. So x and negative 4's distance between these 2 points, that means what? X minus negative 4 to the absolute value, that should be 3 by the definition of a minus absolute value of a minus b. So it is x plus 4 absolute value that is equal to 3. So what is the answer? A is the answer. It is a very simple absolute value equation. I already explained this, right? Absolute value of some expression equal to a number, so twice. In this case, 2x plus 1 can be 5, or 2x minus plus 1 can be negative 5. For the first equation, what is it 2x equals? 2x equals 4 because negative 1, negative both sides, and divided by 2, divided by both sides. What is x? X equals 2. Okay? From the second equation, what is 2x equals? That's a negative 6 because I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides, right? And then negative 5 and minus 1 going to be negative 6. And then divide by 2 to isolate x. That will be negative 3. So two solutions of this absolute value equation are 2 and negative 3. Okay, and then it asks you what is absolute value of a minus b if a, b are solutions. We already found the two solutions, right? If a is 2, b is negative 3, or a is negative 3, b is 2, that doesn't matter because absolute value make always positive number. So absolute value of 2 minus negative 3, which is 5. So 5 is the final answer. A project manager estimates that a project will take X hours. X is hours to complete it. Where X is greater than 100, the goal is for the estimate to be within 10 hours. If the manager meets the goal and it takes Y hours, it takes Y hours, right? X is what? X hours is estimate. That's estimate. And then what is Y? Y is the time actually to complete the project. Which of the following inequalities represents the relationship between the estimated time? What is the estimated time? That is X. And the actual completion time. What is the actual completion time? That is Y. That must be within 10 hours, right? So the difference between X and Y, in the other words, difference between estimated time and actual completion time, that this difference should be within 10 hours. Okay, that's why you can do absolute value, x minus y or y minus x. That doesn't make better, y minus x. So what is the definition of absolute value y minus x? The definition is what? Distance between y and x and y. Okay, that distance, that difference should be within 10 hours, less than 10. So how we solve absolute value of an expression is less than a number. I already told you, right? That expression inside the absolute value should be between positive than number and negative than number. Which one is the answer? D is the answer, right? Okay, I explained three things about absolute value problem today. First one was the most important thing was a definition. So which definition is more important? Absolute value of A minus B definition. Distance between A and B. There are a lot of these problems in SAT. And I explained what? How to solve absolute value equation. I give two examples like this. And then I explained how to solve absolute value inequalities. Okay, less than a number problem and greater than a number problem. Okay, remember all this. Okay, thank you so much for watching my video. And then please subscribe and like and turn on the notification. I'm gonna post another video very soon. Thank you so much. Bye bye.